Hi students, welcome to the science class. In your 6th standard, you studied about fiber and the fabrics, isn't it? You know about how the fabrics are made. You have already understood that what are the different types of the fibers. That is, we are going to classify the fibers into two types. One is natural fiber and the one is a synthetic fiber. Under the natural fiber, we are going to see the silk, cotton, isn't it, wool, these are all the natural fibers because they are come from plant and animal products. Jute, it is also one of the natural fiber. But synthetic fiber, what are synthetic fibers? Synthetic fibers are nothing but the fibers are made by the chemicals that are called as a synthetic fibers. And also you know already that some of the natural fibers are obtained from the plants and also from the animals. Under that you know that the cotton, the wool is comes from the some of the animals called sheep, isn't it? But you don't know where the fibers are present in the sheep. How we are going to get the fibers from the sheep? So in this class we are going to study how we are going to get the wool from the sheep, isn't it? And also we are going to study how that fibers are converted into a wool cloth. I got understood? So now I shall start here from the wool. Wool comes from the sheep, goat, egg and some other animals. So I know already wools come from the sheep, goat and also some of the other animals. So clearly listen here, clearly observe here. Some of the animals like the sheep, goat and egg, they have thick hairs on their body, isn't it? Why they have a thick hairs on their body? Have you observed clearly? Why? Because this hairs traps some of the air in their hairs. I got understood? The hair trap lot of air, and air is a poor conductor of heat. The hair which is present, the hairs which are present on the animal's body, that traps the air, that traps the oxygen molecules, and that air is bad conductor of the heat. Why they are going to have this thick hair? Because the animals doesn't has the capacity to adjust their body towards very low temperature. Have you got understood? These animals doesn't survive in a very cool temperature. That's why they have a thick hairs. Why? Because the thick hairs traps some of the air molecules, but that air molecules are bad conductor of the heat. When the air molecules are present in the hairs, the heat and also the cold temperature doesn't affect on the animal body, and it keeps the body heat, it maintains the heat of the animal body, and that's why they have a thick hairs on their body. So we are going to use that thick hairs to convert into wool. Why? Because we need sweaters, the sweaters are made from the wool cloth. Have you got understood? But one question arises here, on which hair we are going to use from the sheep's body? I got understood? On which hair we are going to use? So see in your body, feel your hairs present on your hands, isn't? So you have to observe very clearly which type of hairs are present in your hand, on your hand. And now you are going to feel your hairs present on your head. Which types of hairs are present on your head? Is there any difference present in the hairs of your body? Yes, the hairs which are present on the hands are soft, but with the hairs which are present on the head, they are somewhat hard. So that's like in the sheep also there are two types of the hairs are present. What they are? These are coarse beard hair. First one type is the coarse beard hair. The coarse beard hair is a very rough hair which is present in the sheep's body. And second one is the fine soft under hair. The fine soft under hair. At the under part of the sheep body, these hairs are present. The fine soft under hairs. You have to remember, we are going to use the fine soft under hair to convert into wool. These hairs are going to be taken, they are useful for to make the wool, but the coarse beard hair are not useful because they are very hard. You have to remember here, the sheep are having two types of the hairs, that are the coarse beard hair, another one is the fine soft under hair. The fine soft under hairs are used to make the wool. So some of the sheep, see, you have to see here, all the sheep are not have a large amount of the fine soft under hairs, but when you are going to see, some of the sheep have only large amount of the fine soft under hairs. How it is possible? Because that sheep are breeding by the selective parents. Have you got understood? Their parents are going to be selected in a such a way that their offspring should provide only the fine soft under hairs. Have you got understood? When the farmers are going to rear the sheep, they are going to select the parents of the sheep in a such a way that the characters of the parents should produce to offspring, should give to the offspring that the character it is nothing but they can provide fine soft under hairs. Have you got understood what is here? Because so we have some characters from our parents, isn't it? Because it is a genetic transmission. Is it clear? We have some characters of our parents. We will look like our parents, we will talk like our parents, we will walk like our parents. These are the some of the characters are transmitted by our parents, isn't it? These are genetic characters. In that way, the farmers are going to select the some parents of the sheep. Have got understood? What are the characters? What the needed character it is? Nothing but the parents can be selected in a such a way that the offspring of that parent should be produced the more fine soft under hair. Have got understood? That's why we can see some of the sheep are going to be produced large amount of the fine soft under hairs. And this type of the breeding, the selective type parents, we are going to select the some parents to produce the some parents to produce our needed character in the offspring. This process is called it as a selective breeding. So what is selective breeding here? The process of selecting parents for obtaining special characters in their offspring. The process of selecting parents for obtaining special characters in their offspring is termed as selective breeding. What it means? The process of selecting parents, for obtaining special characters, in their offsprings. Have you got understood? The process of selecting parents for obtaining special characters in their offsprings is termed as selective breeding. So what is the selective character here? Where the main character we are going to select here is to produce more amount of the fine soft under hair. So farmers are going to select the parents of the sheep in a such a way that the offspring of that two parent sheep must produce large amount of fine soft under hair. So this process is called it as a selective breeding. Once again I am repeating here, the process of selecting parents for obtaining special characters in their offspring is termed as selective breeding. So when you are going to look at the any part of India or different parts of India, you are going to see different breeds of the sheep. I got understood? Due to the environmental condition, due to the culture, isn't it? That fact causes some of the differences. We are going to see different types of the breeds of the sheep in different parts of our India. We are going to see different breed of a sheep in Gujarat, different breed of a sheep in Madhya Pradesh, different breed of a sheep in Meghalaya. We are going to see different breeds of the sheep in different parts of our India. Several breeds are present in different parts of our country. And then you have to confirm here that one question arises in your mind: is it sheep only provides the wool? Sheep only provides the fiber to make the wool? No, some of the animals are also gives us the fibers to make the wool. What are that animals? Sheep is not only source of the wool. Sheep is not only gives the wool. Sheep is not only the hairs of the sheep not only used to make the wool, but also yak wool. We are going to use the yak wool. We are going to use the hairs of the yak to make the wool, especially in the region of Tibet and Ladakh. In the region of the Tibet and Ladakh, the temperature is very low. You have to remember that the environmental condition of the Tibet and Ladakh, the temperature is very low. It is about -°C. You have to remember. So in that area, we are going to see some yaks. Why? Because why the yaks are present in that area? Because they have the body protection by the long hairs. Have to remember, yaks has the long hairs. So what we are going to call it here, the dark long hairs are present, thick hairs are present on the yak body. That provides heat, that provides the required heat to the yak body. That's why they are present in that region. So we are going to use that thick hairs produced on the yak to make the wool cloth. And also Angur wool is obtained from the Angur goat. This Angur goat, see here, sheep is not only used for to produce the wool. The sheep hairs are not only used for to make the wools, but also we are going to use the hairs of Angur. Angur is the type of the goat. Angur goat is the type of the goat. We are going to use the hairs of that Angur goat. That Angur goat we are going to find in the hilly regions of the India, that is called as the Jammu Kashmir. We are going to find this type of the goat in Jammu Kashmir. Angur goat is the one type of a goat which is present in hilly regions of the Jammu Kashmir. We are going to find this Angur goat. We are going to use the hairs of Angur goat to make the wool. Have to remember, we are not going to use only the hairs of the sheep, but we are going to use the hairs of the Angur goat to make the wool. And also the wool is the obtained wool from the Angur goat. The obtained wool from the Angur goat is used to make the shawls called Pashmina shawls. Pashmina shawls, it is a one type of the special shawls made by the hairs of the Angur goat. Have to remember, so Pashmin shawl, it is a one type of the special shawl made by the wool which comes from the Angur goat. You have to remember where the Angur goats are present. Angur goats are present at the hilly regions of the Jammu Kashmir, and we are going to use the hairs of the Angur goat to make the wool, and that wool will be used for to make the Pashmina shawls, the very specialized shawls called Pashmina shawls. And also we are not going to use only the yak hairs and also an Angur hairs. We are also use the fur of the camel. So some of the fur, that is some of the hairs, some thick hairs also present on the camel body. We are going to use that hairs to convert into a wool. We are not going to use only the sheep and hairs of the sheep and goat, but also we are going to use the hairs of camels, thick hairs which are present on the body of the camel. And also we are going to use fur of some of the animals called lalma and alpaca. So lalma and alpaca, these are the different types of the animals which we are going to see in the India, and we are going to get the hairs of these different type of animal, that is lalma and alpaca, that can be utilized to convert that hairs into wool. You have to remember which are the animals we are going to use, which hairs of the animal, which animals we are going to use to make the wool. Remember, we are going to use the hairs of the animal, different hairs of different animals, that are nothing but we are going to use. Firstly, the main is sheep, and second one is a goat. Then we are going to use Angur goat, and then we are going to use the hairs of the camel, and then we are going to use the hairs of the different type of the animal called lalma and alpaca. So we are going to use these hairs of these animals to make the wool. Is it clear? So now the one question arises in your mind, how the hairs are converted into wool. You have to remember, when you are going to see the hairs present on the body of a sheep, or the hairs are present on the body of the yak, they are very small, about 15 centimeter or about 1 meter long. But when you are going to see the wool, when you are going to see the cloth of the wool, it is very long. But how it can be made? So now we are going to study how the hairs are converted into wool. Is it clear? How the fleece of the sheep or the fleece of the goat will be converted into a wool. See here, from the fibers to wool, how it is converted. First, under this, the first step is rearing and breeding of the sheep. It is the very most important part in the production of the wool from the fibers. You have to remember, first step it is rearing and breeding of the sheep. So in first step, we are going to select the sheep, that we are going to rear the sheep in a such a way that we are going to rear the sheep which produces more soft fine under hairs. Is it clear? We are going to rear the sheep. Farmer is going to rear the sheep. He is going to select the sheep in a such a way that the sheep which produces more fine soft under hairs. Why? Because he was going to rear the animal. The one reason is there to get more amount of the hairs, fleece, to make the wool, isn't it? So that's why in the first step, the farmer is going to be select the sheep in a such a way that sheep should be produce more amount of the fine soft under hairs. And second one is, first step is rearing and breeding of the sheep. So when they are going to select the sheep in a such a way that to produce more amount of the fine under hairs, then the breeding of that sheep have got understood. He is going to select some sheep in a such a way that to produce more amount of the fine under hairs, and he is going to in the next step he is going to breed that sheep. And then the hairs of the sheep are shaved up. In a second step, the hairs, the fine under soft hairs of the sheep will be shaved up. Remember here, normally the hairs of the sheep are shaved in warm conditions. In which session? So the hairs of the sheep are shaved in warm conditions. Why? Because it is not shaved in a winter season. Why? Because these hairs provides some heat to the body of the animals. Why? Because these animals are not survival in the cold temperature. That's why naturally they got the long hairs. If we are going to shave the hairs in the winter season, they got affected by a cold season, and they can be get died due to the more cold. But we are going to shave up the hairs in such a season that the season will be very warm. In the warm season, we are going to cut off the hairs, we are going to shave off the hairs. So next we are going to make the hairs are nothing but here fibers. Next steps, we are going to convert that fibers into wool. So how we are going to convert? In the first, we are going to see step 1. In step 1, what happens? The fleece of the sheep along with the thin layer of skin is removed from body, and this process is called as a shearing. In the first step, what we are going to make? We are going to remove the hair or a fleece of the sheep with a small thin layer of the skin. We are going to remove the hairs which are present on the body of the sheep. The thin under hairs are going to be removed with the thin layer of the skin will be removed, and this process is called as a shearing. In the first step, we are going to remove the thin under hairs, and then what we are going to do in the next step? In step 2, the sheared wool is thoroughly washed to remove grease, dust, dirt, and this process is called as a scouring. The sheared wool, the sheared fibers are going to be washed in a big tank. They are going to put these sheared hairs into a big tank containing some of the wash powders and water. They are going to wash this hairs which comes from the sheep or a goat, and Why? Because to remove the grease present, to remove the dirt present, or to remove the dust present in the hairs of the sheep. This is the second step, and this process is called it as a scouring. So in your examination, 1 marks question should be asked, what is meant by scouring, what is meant by shearing. Here shearing means, what is meant by shearing? The fleece of the sheep along with the thin layer of the skin will be removed from body. This process is called it as a shearing. What is scouring? Scouring, it is nothing but the process of washing of the sheared hair to remove grease, dirt and dust from the sheared hairs. It is called it as a scouring. After that scouring, what we are going to make here to convert the fiber into wool. Hair is skin sent into the factory where hairs of different textures are separated. After the scouring, all the dust materials which is present in the hair will be washed out, and after onwards that scoured hairs will be sent into the factory to separate based on their the hairs are skin sent to the factory where hairs of the different textures are separated. See here, the goats are not only in a single color, or the sheep are not only have a single color, they have a different colors. So according to their textures, according to their color, the hairs are going to be separated in the factory. So after the scouring, the hairs will be sent into the factory to differentiate, to separate the hairs based on their textures. After onwards, the small fluffy fibers called burrs are picked out. See, when the hairs are sent into the factory to differentiate or to separate the hairs based on their texture, after onwards we are going to separate the small fluffy fibers present in the hairs. You have to remember, these hairs are the long hairs which are present in the factory, but after coming from the factory, some of the burrs are present. See in your sweaters, some of the burrs are present on your cloth. So that's like burrs are present in these hairs. We have to pick it up, we have to remove that small burrs from the hair. So in the step 4, we are going to remove small fluffy hairs present in the sheep hairs, that is come from the hairs which comes from the factory, that we are going to remove in the step 4. The next, in last step, we are going to use the fibers obtained. We are going to make that fiber straightened by the combing. In the last step, fibers are straightened and combed and rolled to air. In last step, what we are going to do here is that hairs are going to be straightened by applying water or by applying chemicals. They are going to be straightened, and what we are going to make here, combing. By combing, we are going to straighten here by using the big combs. We are going to combed the hairs and straightened and rolled up into a yarn. We are going to make it into a yarn. We are going to roll that hairs. We are going to roll that hairs and make into the yarns. So what happened after completing the yarn? See, now the fiber will be get converted into a long yarn. Isn't it? So first the fibers are in the form of the hairs. Now these hairs are converted into a long yarn. So what happens next? The long yarns, the long wool yarns are used to make the sweaters or the cloths, and the shorter yarns or the shorter wool, it is used for to make woolen cloth. Have you got understood? Some of the woolen cloth we are going to use to make woolen cloth. We are going to use the shorter yarns present after the conversion of hairs into the wool. So this is all about the conversion of hairs of the sheep into a wool. Is it clear? See here, now the wool comes from the hairs of the sheep. The under fine soft under hairs of the sheep. We are going to convert these fine soft under hairs into the wool. Is it clear? So in the next session we are going to study how the silk is made, how the silk cloth is made, how we are going to get the silk cloth. In the next session we are going to study. So thank you.